A very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the late edition of Vogan's European Outlook for Friday the 19th of August. We're barely 10 days, just over 10 days away from the end of summer 2022, and it has been a warm and largely dry summer compared to normal for June through August across the British Isles and across much of the continent of Europe, of course. Looking at the GFS, this is the 850 temperatures off the operational, and you can see here we've got low pressure in control of British weather over the next few days. We've got an area of low pressure currently sitting off the east coast of Iceland, and we have got cold air coming off Greenland around that area of low pressure and into the British Isles. The heat has, of course, been pushed out of the British Isles, and even the near continent actually. Yeah, it's kind of forced all the way into the Baltic region and the east of the continent. Now, over the next several days, we are going to continue to see cooler getting drawn out of Greenland, cycled around the area of low pressure and across the British Isles. But as you notice here, as we go towards the early portion of the new work week, area of low pressure approaching from the west, we can just tap a little bit of warmer air from the south, as you can see here. But on the whole, it looks as if cooler air is going to win out. Now, notice here, that being said, middle portion of next week, we're seeing the milder air getting lifted up into the north of England, even southeastern portions of Scotland. So there is a period of time with a low pressure dominated pattern that we'll start to see that warmth get lifted north. Ahead of any approaching frontal system from the west, you tend to draw the air from the south, and then of course that gets suppressed, and we see more cooler air getting drawn out of the north around areas of low pressure and into the British Isles here. As we continue to skip through to the end of next week, you notice here that the warmth at 850 is gathering and covering much of mainland Europe. And this, to me, folks, along with the ECMWF, along with the GFS ensemble, is all representative of a very warm end to summer. So it's been a warm summer, and it looks as if it's going to be a warm end to summer across much of Europe here. And then as we push towards the end of next week, you notice here that we've got some warm air, 15 plus Celsius at 850, nudging its way just into the southeastern corner of the UK here. And then you notice here, really, once you cross the North Sea or you cross the English Channel, you're in the very warm air. It's just kind of almost a separation. It's almost like the cooler is just hugging off the mainland coastline, as you can see. So you're saying to yourself, it's getting pretty close. It is close, and this is a long way out. Each individual model run is going to have a different outcome. But you notice here that as we go towards the end of the period here, so this is the 30th of August, high pressure is starting to build across the north. It's a cool area of high pressure, if you notice here, because we've got a 1034 high to the north. It's fairly stretched out. Notice on the eastern flank of that, we've got cold Arctic air actually coming over the top of that high and down into Scandinavia here. All the while, it depends on the movement of the high, it depends on the position of the high, but we may start to see that warmer getting lifted northwards here. So area of low pressure to the west of Ireland, that area of high pressure to the north of the UK. You've got a wedge, an open door here to seeing some of that warmer air getting drafted up into the British Isles. It's interesting because if you look at the CFSV2, it's showing something very, very similar indeed. So let's get back to the current setup. Area of low pressure, frontal system, wind and rain going to be the dominant force of the next 24 hours. Initially over Scotland, that will then edge south into Cumbria, Lancashire, across the top of the Pennines here, and then it starts to kind of ease and fade out as it starts to come up against resistance of high pressure to the south. So as we play through the course of the weekend, low pressure very much dominating the weather pattern. We've got cooler cycling around these areas of low pressure to the north. All the while, as we go towards the early portion of next week, we'll start to see that warmth gathering, lifting up into much of Europe here. So very warm, like the GFS is indicating, through the course of next week across the continent. All the while, we're seeing these lobes of colder air coming in, trying to push towards the British Isles here. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly whether the warm air can get involved in the UK atmosphere. I think as we push over the next several days and towards the end of the month here. So we'll keep an eye on that. But you notice here that of the GFS ensemble, we have got a very warm continent indeed. So as I play through the loop, this is the 2 meter temperature anomalies here. You can see here as I continue to skip through, fairly cooler, kind of trying to linger over the north. Then we're in the warmer, so this is the early portion of next week. Why is that case? Area of low pressure to the west-northwest allows that warmth in to the UK here. It's coming always up against resistance, low pressure to the north. So we've got cooler air trying to come in around these areas of low pressure, and there's heat trying to expand and push towards that area of low pressure. So there's this battle, this fight in air mass. And once again, the UK is in that battle zone, so to speak. Southeast corner was still dry enough ground. You may have surges of heat. Still may see 30s before all is said and done. And you can see here that as I skip through the next several days here, cool is always trying to hang on to the UK. Look at the continent, very, very warm indeed as we end the month of August, end summer overall. You know, it's just been an incredible summer, and it's going to be interesting to see how this summer ranks in terms of temperature overall. Let's have a quick look at the upper air pattern here. You can see here 5-day increments. Upcoming 5 days looks like this here. Low pressure anchored across Iceland, affecting the British Isles, as you can see here. And then as we play through the loop, you notice here that high pressure to the north, the main focus of high pressure compared to normal, is over Scandinavia and then expands across the top here, and high pressure becomes quite the dominant player here. But it's not necessarily a given that it's warm compared to normal here. So there is complications to this end game of summer, and I think it's going to be all very interesting to see exactly how the atmosphere pans out. Then it's going to be interesting as we go into the month of September. I'm very optimistic, or interested, should I say, that the tropics could start to become more active as we move into the month of September. If it does so, that can have impacts either on a positive, if not a negative, for the UK here. So really that's it for today. Just basically showing you the models, what's going on at the moment, what I'm thinking in terms of the outcome for next week. Still a lot of uncertainty with regards to how the next week will pan out. There is reason to believe that low pressure could try and hang on, trying to push cooler into the UK. On the other hand, we could see with the expanding heat over the continent, that could make an inroad to the British Isles as well. So it's all to play for next week. Really, it's a very open question with regards to the type of weather pattern that we see during the course of next week here. And I'll finally end with the precipitation forecast of the model here. So looking back at the upcoming 7-day period, you can see here relatively dry compared to normal. Of course, over the next 24 hours, we're going to see rain moving east and southeast across the British Isles, weakening as it does so. The 5 to 11-day period looks rather dry as well, as the models see high pressure becoming more dominant through the latter half of this month. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. As always, please like, share, and if you haven't already done so, just hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Like I said before, going to start looking more and more at autumn, as well as my ideas for the winter season. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.